I have what I think is going to be a pretty interesting video today. It is German SMK ammo from 1943. Now this stuff is not only German, which makes it pretty rare, but it is also light armor piercing, which will be incredibly interesting to take a look at. Now, if you clicked on this video expecting penetration testing, don't worry, that will be next week's video. So if you hit that red button, then you will get notified when that gets published. There's been a lot of German SMK ammo that came into the country recently, so it's like light armor piercing type stuff, and that is what we are going to shoot today, is German SMK ammo. Alright, let's see how this stuff shoots. 2,538. 2,484. 2,519. 2,523. 2,568. All right, 5 more. 2,509. 2,588. 2,489. 2,488. So that was our time on the range. Our velocity low was 2,484 feet per second, and our velocity high was 2,588 feet per second. That leads to a total spread of 104 feet per second from the lowest to the highest round, and that gives us an average of 2,522.9 feet per second. Although it is just a little bit lower, this ammo is about on par with other ammos that we have seen in this weight category. The next lowest is the Israeli ammo at 2,543 feet per second, and the highest is the Czech ammo from the PS factory from 2,553.9 feet per second. Given the price of this ammo, I am very happy to say that every single round that we fired correctly, and we had absolutely no duds or hangfires. Alright, so let's take a look at this ammo box. First it says 15 Patronen, or 15 cartridges, and then it has SMK. SMK stands for Patron Spitzgeschoss mit Kern. I'm sure I am pronouncing that wrong, but that means basically that this ammo has a hardened steel core or that it is armor piercing. What appears to be HIO and then 3 is likely a factory code, and then L is short for the year of production, so this was produced in 1943. Then the NZ.GW.BL.P is a really long acronym for flake rifle powder, and then it gives us the measurements of that rifle powder right here. Then you have RDF, which is the powder factory, and then I would assume the 1940-21 is the factory details. And so what that would mean is likely that the powder in this box was produced in the 21st lot of 1940. This PATRHS is the place where the case was produced, and it is Stahl or steel. Then these two should be the location of the make of the bullet and the bullet core. And then that follows that this down here should be the information on the primer. Now, I want to be clear that I have not gotten this information from a super reliable source. It's just some stuff I found on the internet, and I don't read good enough German to really know that for sure either. But I did want to share that information with you since I found it. So let me open up this box. And something else that is interesting inside of here, this is one of those things that I think is really interesting to see in boxes, is this NKW 1937. Maybe that was the manufacturer of the date of the box. So when I open this up, we should see 15 cartridges. Let me pull one of these out and we'll look at the head stamp. It's always kind of hard to see steel-cased head stamps, but let's see what we can do. We have 43, and then what looks like HL or 1B, an S, and then a number 7. This should be year, and this is probably the lot number. And then when I look at these two, they are likely factory codes. The Germans used factory codes because they did not want the Allies to know where their factories were, so they used these codes so that the Allies could not find the factories and bomb them. Before we talk about the bullets and the powder, I would like to talk about some issues I had with taking the measurements. The bullets had rusted to the case, and the case had rusted on the inside due to moisture that got into the rounds. Now, this caused a few different things. One, it meant that the bullets were incredibly hard to get out of the case, and I actually had to bend the case and break it a little bit in order to get the bullets out. A second factor of this is that because the bullets had rusted, they weren't quite necessarily as consistent in bullet weight as they could have been if they were unrusted. And third, because there was moisture inside of the case, I could not get all of the powder out of the case. I tried the best I could, but because of these reasons, the measurements are not going to be as consistent as usual, and they aren't really going to be as reliable. Also, because I had to destroy the cases, and because this ammo will be incredibly interesting to have for other testing, I decided to only pull 6 bullets instead of the usual 9 or 10, and this is because it should give you the data that you might be looking for, but I won't be destroying as many rounds and I can save them for other testing in the future. So with that being said, let's talk about the bullets. The lowest bullet weight that I had was 177.4 grains, and the highest was 179.2 grains. That leads to a total spread of 1.8 grains from the lowest to the highest, and a weight of 178.38 grains. Now this grain weight is almost exactly on average with all of the other grain weights we've taken so far in this category, with the exception of the Israeli ammo, which was at 179.32 grains. Now that Israeli bullet was also shaped different, and that will become relevant when we talk at the end. Now this ammo does have some scratches. That happened when I pulled the bullets, so that's not a remark on this ammo's consistency or quality of manufacture. So the first thing that you'll notice about this bullet is that there is in fact rust on the insides. You can see that's what that brown or orange color is, and you can also see just some dark around right here, and that is from that rust on the case. Now I pulled one of these bullets apart, and the hardened steel core looked like this. It was pointier than usual, whereas normally they are quite dull. This one is nice and pointy because it is actually meant to penetrate. These also have a bimetal jacket, so that is magnetic as well. Obviously, since this ammo has a hardened steel core, it is going to be magnetic. Now there's one thing I'd like to show you. This is the soft steel core of that Czech ammo that we tested a few months ago. So I'm just going to put a file on there, apply a little bit of pressure, and yank it. And then let me grab the German round, and I will do the exact same thing. Okay, you may have heard a different sound there. Now let's look at the mark that it made. So you can see that the German ammo has a very little mark, whereas the Czech ammo has quite a large one there. And that is because this is much more hard than this one is. Now, one other thing I would like to show you is that with this Czech ammo, I have the 2 rounds right here, and they are the exact same dimensions, and it appears made the exact same way, except this one has a nickel-plated jacket, and this one does not. It's a personal opinion of mine, and I haven't found any sources to back this up, that these later ammos, like this Czech ammo, is inspired by the German ammo, and was using some similar specifications. When I pulled the powder, our powder weight low was 43.0 grains, and our powder weight high was 43.2 grains. That gave us an average of 43.1 grains and a spread of 0.02 grains from the lowest to the highest. So this seems really consistent, but also keep in mind that we didn't pull as many as we usually do. Now, you remember how this ammo had the lowest velocity of all of the other ammos in this category we've tested? It also had the lowest amount of powder in this category from all the other ammos we've tested. So maybe that was a contributing factor, or maybe some of this powder just got stuck in the case because of that moisture and rust that I talked about in the beginning. Okay, so as I said on the box, this is just normal flake powder. Nothing really too special, except that I put it into this Ziploc bag like I normally do, and you can see that orange color. That orange color is because the rust in the case made it into the powder and added that. So that just goes to show this ammo is pretty well rusted. This is what a normal bag looks like, and you can see that it's just clear, whereas this one has that orange layer. And this pellet powder is what is inside of the Czech cases and the Bulgarian cases that I believe are also semi-similar to this German ammo. Now, with all of that being said, let's talk about my opinion of this ammo. First thing is, I'm very impressed that this ammo still fired correctly and on time, even after all of these years and with pretty clear signs of moisture getting inside of the case. Usually when a round has moisture that gets inside of the case, the primer starts to go bad. So the fact that this round fired correctly on time is kind of shocking to me. Although the velocity for this ammo was just a little bit lower than the others, it was really within the variation of one round to another round, so I wouldn't really say it's enough difference to make that big of a difference, but it's still worth noting. Now, let's talk about whether or not you should buy this ammo for the purpose of range time shooting, and I would say you probably should not buy it for that purpose, because it is likely going to be more expensive than just about any other ammo on the market. Being both German, which is one large contributing factor, and being an armor-piercing ammo, this is pretty highly sought after by collectors and by people like me who want to test it. So because of that, this ammo is going to be more expensive than some others that are more readily available. Now, if you want to buy this ammo as a collector, or if you want to buy this ammo to do interesting testing with it, that makes absolute sense. But if you're just buying an ammo to go to the range and shoot, I would recommend staying away from SMK ammo. One thing to note is that rust in these cases means that these cases probably will be wearing out soon. Maybe that rust will stop now, it's not really active anymore. However, it is something important to take a look at. When there is rust inside of metal, it will continue to grow, it might just grow at a slower pace. That doesn't mean that all German SMK ammo will have rust inside of the cases, just because mine did, but because mine did, it should be something that you should be ready for in any case. Now, I'm sure there's a question that all of you are asking right now, and that is, how does this armor-piercing ammo do at penetrating armor? Now, I had the exact same question, and so a few weeks ago I took this ammo to the range with me, and I shot at some steel plates with it. But don't worry, I did record my results, so you will be seeing that in next week's video. That being said, I'm 8mm Mauser man, and I fired pretty expensive German 8mm ammo. But I lived on.
Which proves it's hard to get the best of a man named John.
John.